Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will. We just joined here after having a joke at one of our friends' expenses, but he will never hear that joke, and neither will y'all. We are squarely into the month of December, so it is it's Christmas time in America. And last year, if you've been with us, you've been following the show. First of all, thank you if you have been doing that. If not, I just want to let you know that we have a bunch of episodes that were on Apple Podcasts before we started doing YouTube video. And last year, we did two movies around the Christmas vibe. We did Die Hard and we did National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And it just gave us a chance to kind of do a little bit of reminiscing about our childhood experiences and experience the, vibe of Christmas and the corporate capitalist machine that's behind Christmas. And we thought this year we'll do the same again. So today we are doing Red One. So Red One is in theaters right now. So, if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to listen to this first and then decide if you want to go see it. If you saw it already, listen to our review. Either way, come back and listen. But regardless, we're going to be heavy spoilers in this one. So, we're going to talk about the plot. We're going to talk about all the plot holes. We're going to talk about all the spoilers. So, just listen and enjoy the ride. Mr. Will, how you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. Trying to spread goodwill towards all men and all that good stuff, yo. What's going on with you?
Me too, man. Yo, it's December. I'm decided. I'm intentionally going to give 31 days of positivity out this year. So everything is even my hate. I'm going to try to frame it in a positive way because I'm about positivity for this next month. So we're going to see how that works. We're going to try to do it.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah,
I can appreciate
I'm doing my best. I'm going to do my best, man. At the end of the day, we'll see what the videotape says, man.
Let's go to the videotape.
But with that said, man, yo, let's go to the summary. I mean, to the summary, yeah. Or the summary.
Yeah, no, you good, man.
Let's get into it.
So, Red One is a pulse-pounding action comedy fun film that hits the ground running with a villain's audacious plot to kidnap Santa from the North Pole. This treacherous and act throws everything in the festive world into chaos as the villain also swipes a toy duplicating machine from Santa's workshop, and along with it, a magical snow globe that is integral to her villainous scheme. An ELF, which is an acronym for Extremely Large and Formidable Operation, known for his unparalleled skills and toughness, teams up with the world's most accomplished hacker, tracker, bounty killer, aka the Wolf, to embark on a thrilling rescue mission.
There it is, man. So I just saw this in the movie theaters over the Thanksgiving break. Movie theater was packed. Yo, people were in there. I could definitely see the look on a lot of adults' faces like, I just need something that's going to keep these kids quiet for about 2 hours while I desk scroll on this phone in here. The dude next to me, he looked like he had Hennessy in his Slurpee, man. Like he was hanging on by a thread because the kid's been out for like a week. So like people at that point where it's like, yo, I just need something to keep these kids quiet so I can just try to live a little bit. So that's what that was, man. So, but it was a good like viewing experience and everything, and so I enjoyed it, and it was good, man. What was your viewing experience like, man?
That is hilarious. All right, so I'm in a more subdued area.
Okay.
And so me and my lady, we went out, and the first thing she says is, I would never have these kids out at this time of night. And we went at the 10:30 showing. So the thing that struck me the most was it was a family oriented event where you would see like, and I'm not talking about like, preteens or anything like that. I mean like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
kids.
You know what I mean? Yeah, little kids. Mm-hmm. And that's what prompted her to say that. So we get to our seats, and the crazy thing was I actually went in person to purchase my tickets because I was being cheap. I didn't want to pay any more fees. And the
that's
dude
honest,
was like,
"Thank you for that honesty at Christmas time, man. You're gonna be on the good list,
folks. One, I don't want to be on the naughty list. Two, I'm definitely going to be upfront with you so you can see the consistency here on the channel. Three, and it kind of like nails home the point about this movie. So my little anecdotal little story time here. You'll get the point soon enough. So I go before the dude and I'm like, hey man, I'd like to purchase these tickets, yeah, but I'm having trouble logging in, et cetera, et cetera. Can you help me out? Yeah, cool. So, the guy's helping me, and these three women, and I may be presumptuous in saying this, but it looked like a mother-daughter event.
Mm-hmm.
So two daughters and a mom.
Okay.
And they go to get his attention while he's in the midst of helping me to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm sitting here like, wow, the audacity, the gumption. And we're in the quote unquote rich people mall.
Mm.
So, you already know the demographic. So I look at them like with this strange look, and they have the audacity to look back at me like, yeah, we really did that.
There it
We really
is.
about that.
There it is. Yeah.
So I
They was
said, you know
ready for
what?
you.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? It's Christmas time. Let's be festive. Let's be positive. So I just turned back. I tried to keep it cool. The guy was like, all right, you know what? Your renewal isn't in, so I had to renew my membership. And he's like, oh, but you still got your rewards points. So, it ended up balancing out. I didn't pay $40 for tickets this time.
There it
I
is.
only paid the 25, whatever. Fast forward, we get to our seats. Now, mind you, he bought the tickets for me.
Mm-hmm.
Go to my seats. There's 4 people sitting in our seats.
Oh, that's it. There it is.
Come,
There it
come to
is.
find. So the lady pulls out her phone and she's like, and you can go get the guy if you want. I'm like, all right, it's Christmas. We're in a Christmas movie surrounded by these people. I said, you know what? I'll be right back. I am going to get the guy. I go to get the guy. My lady's like, you just left me there. I'm like, I wasn't thinking straight. Pardon me. Go get the guy. The guy goes, he's like, oh, you know what? There's an error. Your tickets are for 10:30 in the morning. Their ticket, yeah.
10:30 and they're showing movies at 10:30 in the morning still?
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
I thought that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's like, look, there's 2 seats down here. You guys can take the seats. We'll have your food brought to you, whatever. Fast forward, we get everything manages to work out. We watch the movie, yada, yada, yada. We end up leaving. Have a couple of laughs at the fact that, the mix up with the tickets, whatever. But all in all, it was a very interesting
experience.
event. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
That's good, man. I thought you were going to say that in the end. You tried to burn the theater down, and you didn't. So that was good, man. That was good. I was worried about where the end of the story was going.
Nah, man. I managed to keep control, being festive, holiday movie, keeping in line, keeping with the theme of like just being peaceful, man.
There it
just
is.
being happy.
There it is. Yeah, man. So the holiday movies, man. Like, so we did holiday movies last year. Yo,
Yep.
why do you think like the holiday movie is so important? Like every year, you get these type. Why do we keep making these movies? Like why does the film business keep making these?
I think it hits on a lot of things. I think underneath it all, people are hopeful. I think that's the reason why we continue to live. We know that life is precious because of the finality of it all and the mystery of what I don't want to get religious, but whatever you believe in, whatever you tap into, there's the hope that there's something better, a promise of a better tomorrow. And that if you do good deeds, do good work in the here and now, you'll be rewarded in that afterlife. I also think the fact that people reminisce over their childhood. And if you had even a semi-decent childhood, Christmas was a major part of it. Whether it be the decorations, the snow, making snowmen, making baking cookies, hot chocolate. I think people are, looking for a more simplistic time, man.
Yeah, and these movies remind people of that.
Yeah,
no doubt, man. I think like I do love this time of year, right? And and the thing is, like, I always feel like this is the time when people try to be their most human, and that
most human.
yeah, right. This is when I think they do, and I like that, right? And also like I love to like be in stores and hear Christmas music. Like I don't want to hear Christmas music any time of the year. I definitely don't want to hear it before December or before at least the day after Thanksgiving. But once I do, like I'm in the mode. So like even if like a movie like this is not necessarily my genre of film, like I still appreciate the fact that they still make movies like this.
No, I can appreciate that, man. I think it brings out the empathetic side of individuals and tries to smush that whole bah humbug Scrooge the Grinch feeling.
Yes.
And plus, man, you can't go wrong with Mariah Carey pumping in the malls and
Yeah,
in the
right.
stores and everything. Like
Right.
that's my favorite singer,
The
by the
real
way.
the
But
real
yeah,
queen of Christmas, man.
yeah, I love seeing Mariah on the mic during New Year's, Christmas period, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Shout outs to her for that. That's a good one.
yeah,
Yeah,
man,
that's a good one, man.
yeah.
So this movie, like, I would say that it's kind of, like I like to compare things, right? So
Of
this
course,
movie is like what would happen if, to me, like what would happen if Men in Black did a Christmas special?
I can see that. I can see that.
So it was like they did this thing where they had all of these kind of mythical creatures, but they treat
Hmm.
them almost like in a Men in Black kind of thing, where it's like they're
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
the shadow world and everything, and there's like an
yeah.
agreement between the government and Santa Claus and his operation. Like everybody kind of knows what's happening, but the average citizen doesn't. And then when I was
Mm-mm.
watching it, I was like, "Oh, this movie's kind of giving me that kind of vibe, right?" And then in the midst of that, you have like this dynamic between The Rock and Chris Evans, right? And The Rock is Callum Drift,
Hmm.
and then you got the Chris Evans playing Jack O'Malley, right? And
Yeah.
you get a little bit of Jack's backstory where he's like this kid who always would want to reveal that Santa Claus wasn't real, and like
Hmm.
he's got his issues because he didn't have his father when he was growing up, and now he wants to make
Right.
Christmas for everybody. He's like the Scrooge, like the prototype Scrooge, right? But it's juxtaposed against the Rock's character, who has been a true believer all this time, but is now sort of losing that belief. And the main thing is that, like he says, like the naughty list is now larger than the good
Mm.
list, right? And that's so he's losing faith in whether or not any of this stuff makes a difference.
That's tough that you say that too, because one, the cynicism in his voice, you could tell that it really took a hit on his soul,
Hmm.
like in his inner core. And I think that's one of the things too that we're fearful of when we become an adult. One, we're adults longer than we are children, so you definitely try to hold on to that innocence.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect segue for my second point. Children, they go into things, very bright eyed and bushy tail, as the phrase goes, and they're so full of wonder, to go along with another phrase during this holiday season,
Hmm.
that you try to look at everything through the eyes of a child, like that childlike manner. I think that's also another reason why things are so appealing, as far as like Christmas and this time of year and everything. Um, but with that being said, he's talking about retirement, so he sounds like Danny Glover.
Hmm.
So that
I'm
harkens to
too old
that.
for this. Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible like stunt maneuvering when he's sliding down
Hmm.
the train and everything, going through the alleyway, and everybody knows if there's a Tom Cruise movie, he's got the classic scene
You
where
got
he's
to be
running.
running. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be running. So you see The Rock doing all that and the stunts for all the action junkies. But then imagine, if you will, that there is a North Pole. What are the populace like? What are the citizens like? And then you see, like, you don't see candy canes or anything like that, but you do see the first house where they're like, and this is where it all started. So
Yeah.
you get that bit of nostalgia. Um, and I think last but not least, the thing that really like opened my eyes in those opening minutes was Jack, he's rambunctious, he's rebellious, he's trying to impress his friends, but there's always that voice of calm and reason that tries to get to him. And it's like, you may not understand this now, but eventually you're going to become the person that we all know that you can be.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And look, if you're not watching this on the YouTube channel, yo, Mr. Will has such a big smile on his face as he's talking about this. Like, you can tell this joint is heartwarming to you, to
Yeah,
you,
man.
man. But no, that's
Well,
good. That's good stuff, man. It's a good vibe, man, for this type of
well, you
movie.
got to remember too that scene with his dad, where he's talking about like, hey, you're over here trying to trick these boys out of money and this, that, and the third, and Jack's saying, I can get you whatever you need, like that guy.
Hmm.
One, it harkens to the guy in New York City who have like the leather long trench coat, and he's got like list of
Yeah.
jewelry
Yep.
here and other stuff, paraphernalia in the wardrobe. And then the other thing too is it reminded me of A Christmas Story, where it
Mm.
has that one kid who is like going against the grain, and he's trying to get everybody to
Yes.
do everything. He's
Yes.
like, I bet you won't lick the pole. I bet you won't stick your tongue on the pole.
Hmm.
Everybody knows the scene, so it just borrows from so many different other movies.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of like that time when I was a child and I'm
Yeah.
watching all these things.
No doubt, man. And the genre works because you can do that, right? And it's
Hmm.
not it's seen more as imitation than as
Yeah.
like biting when it
Right.
happens.
Right.
So it's like that's good. So I dig that.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jack O'Malley, and that's Chris Evans' character. And
Yeah.
one of the things I was thinking about when I was watching is like, yo, shout out to Chris Evans for building his post Endgame career. Like,
Mm.
me and you, we have done a lot of we haven't done a lot of comic book movies, but we've seen all of them, just about.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
obviously, Chris Evans is in the Marvel comic universe closely associated with Captain America, right?
No doubt.
Once that character or his run with that character potentially ended, it's like I don't even no one knows for sure if it's really
Mm.
over or not. But it's like I've seen him like really try to build a career outside of that now, where he's created like another sort of cast persona, which is
Yeah.
he's like the action, wisecracking, a little bit of a jerk kind of character. And
Hmm.
you've seen him like do this in a couple of movies, right? Because he did it in what's the joint, Knives Out. He was kind of like
Yep.
that character a little bit. And he ended up being the bad guy there. You saw him do it in not in Red Notice, but
None.
Gray
Yeah.
Man.
Man.
Ryan Gosling, he did that, and then he kind of does it here too. But it's like I see him clearly like fitting into like what kind of role he's gonna play, and I like that for him. Like I like that he's like really continue to branch out and trying to subvert. I think the expectations of like playing Captain America, even in Deadpool and Wolverine, him not playing
Mm.
Captain America and him playing the Human Torch, and everybody wanted him to play Cap. I just thought that was like his sort of self awareness of like
Mm.
how people want him to, what people want him to play, and him being like, "Nah, I want to do some fun roles that are different and aren't bound by like the extreme moral fiber of the Captain America character."
Yeah, and even in the Marvel when he Marvel flick when Deadpool and Wolverine where he's playing Johnny Storm,
Mm-hmm.
even that is has its sarcastic points where
Yeah.
he's talking badly about Callisto, about Callisto and no no
Oh, Nova.
no Nova,
Yeah,
yeah, and just the fact that like
Cassandra Nova. That's what it is.
Cassandra Nova,
Yeah.
yep, and just the fact that like when he's actually the behind the scenes cut when
Yes,
he
he's doing all the
actually
cursing.
is the one he is cursing and everything, and you're just like wow. And there's been allusions to it where he's done the commercial with a couple of other people from I think Casey Affleck is in it and another actress where you actually hear their Bostonian accents
Hmm.
and they're talking about I think I wouldn't say it's the car that could park on its own. I think it was like a
Oh yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mitsubishi or
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Hyundai or something.
yeah,
Yeah, and like, look at that car.
yeah,
And then that was my fake impression of a Bostonian accent. And just to see him in a different light so that he avoids typecasting because that is the
yes.
number one
Hmm.
enemy of any and all actors. I think that's refreshing too. And I would argue that his personality is more in line with the sarcastic jokester
Yeah,
prankster than it is with the
the Captain America
sentinel
role. Yeah,
of and the sentinel and epitome of righteousness.
yeah,
Not to say that he's not a good dude, but I mean I think it goes a little bit overboard where the expectations are just so unrealistic.
yeah. And he's also done. I think he did that one with Anna de Armas too, the one that was on
Oh
Apple
yeah,
TV. He
TV,
did
yeah.
that, and then when you look back at his career, even back to like him doing like a movie like Puncture, where he was playing like the lawyer. He's got some range, and
Hmm.
I enjoyed watching him in this movie. I think like he's like in that group of character of actors, like kind of like a Ryan Gosling,
Yeah.
like Ryan Reynolds, like guys who can like do a couple different things, but actually do have some comedic timing as well, which allows them to be funny in an action movie. And that's what the movie needed. So I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah, and it's kind of true to him though. That's the thing. The movies that preceded his Captain America role, such as the joint with Kim Basinger, where she gets kidnapped and he rescues her, or the movie where he played Push,
Hmm.
which they're kind of like mutants or whatever have you. In those roles, he was kind of a grifter
Yeah,
slash prankster,
yeah,
irresponsible individual. So it's not out of his realm or ballpark to be these things.
yeah,
I think another character actor. Another actor and actress in this movie that didn't get the same recognition that they probably are due is Lucy Liu's character
yeah. I like
Zoe
Lucy Liu.
Harlow. I think that for her, like it's been some time since we've seen her
Yes.
in front of the screen, but I know she's been tending to other personal affairs. Like she's an artist. She has a art collection that she's cultivating, a boutique store and everything of that ilk. I gotta drop the phrase
Of
in there.
course.
And then she has she's done some voiceover, some voice acting
Okay.
for cartoons and such too. So I think her priorities have shifted once she's gotten older, and she doesn't necessarily need to be in front of the camera. I know she's done some work behind the camera too.
Yeah. I liked seeing her in this. And, like, we haven't done a movie with her in it since we did Lucky Number 11, which is
Yep,
one of the
yep.
first joints that we did.
One of my
I'm actually
favorites.
going to come back to her a little bit later because I got a couple of comments about like her and her role.
Okay.
I do like, so, and I'm, like, I know some people, they go to movies and, they're really critical of like the CGI, right? And they'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, the CGI wasn't good, right?
Right, 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 right.
I'm not one of those kinds of people. So I actually liked like the CGI in
So did
this. I
I.
like the snowmen, like the
Oh, one of
violent
the great
snowman joint.
scenes.
I like that. I like Krampus. I kind of like
Yeah.
that. I like what Gryla becomes like in the end. Like I like
They're the
those
Ogress.
those scenes worked for me, right? And I think it's hard to make a Christmas movie in 2024 unless you either go full tilt for the
Mm,
kids. If you
yeah.
try to be in a range where it's kind of like for adults, you kind of have to do things that are a little bit more adult like. And I appreciated them trying to like add a little action, a little violence, within safe bounds, to the movie.
Well, I think that's the thing. You definitely want to have a wide net when targeting, moviegoers because you obviously want to capitalize on the film and you want as many
Yeah.
people to go as possible. So you have to tend to the different likes and dislikes and navigate those waters as carefully as possible. Simultaneously, though, you don't want to feel schizophrenic. You don't want to be all over the place with whatever it is that you're displaying on that screen. But I do think when individuals tap into the amalgamation of the character driven, not necessarily the headliner, but like the ensemble cast, have a little sprinkle of action and comedy or action comedy romance, ideally. I think those movies tend to work well as far as like numbers at the box office.
Yeah. 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 And when you mentioned the cast part, obviously like The Rock is the headliner, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
going to see The Rock. And, I understand that he's probably the biggest star of the
Mm-hmm.
people. It was interesting because I actually thought J.K. Simmons would be in the movie a little bit more than he was.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know too much about the plot, but it was like
Mm.
in the beginning he was there and I thought like he had a nice sort of balance. Like I like the portrayal the Santa Claus character in this.
Mm.
Like not so much in the he's tied up into like the I'm a good guy or I'm a happy guy or I'm a jolly guy. Like, he's obviously been working out and he's got like his arms
Mm.
are ripped and everything.
Mm.
It looks like you in a with your shirt off, man, right? And it's like, but it's like I did feel like
Good one.
I like that he was like purposeful, like
Yeah.
he was like, yo, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to spread cheer. I'm supposed to get these gifts. And we gotta do it on a timeline. And like this is a business, right? We gotta do that. And it's like I just like the grounded Saint Nick or Nick
Mm-hmm.
as they call him in this thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like the movie's attempt to try to get a Santa Claus that kids can understand with because he's still dropping off the presents, but adults can vibe with because he's ripped. You
Well,
know.
I think it works on a lot of levels. To elaborate a little bit further, how do you balance having this mythos of a
Hmm.
grand character exist in a very grounded timeline?
Yeah.
What does that take? How many people would be involved? Because obviously you can't pull the wool over everyone's eyes in
Yes.
order to have someone like this to exist. So when you see the major governments and you see what's the acronym? MORE, I believe,
Yeah. What?
the
Yeah.
mythological
Yeah.
organization. When these different entities are interacting, you can have hope that there can be peace and goodwill towards all men, that all these countries can get together for one common
Yes.
cause to see that the children benefit from it.
Yeah.
Because to borrow from Whitney Houston, the children are the future. If
Hmm.
that's true, then in turn, what would all these powerful men and women do to facilitate that to come into essence?
Yeah. Yeah. And the movie does a good job with that. And it even, and you said this when we were talking in the pre-production, right? The movie has some kind of deep things that it's trying to deal with, like
Yeah.
the idea of, do you fight good with more good, or do you like
Mm,
punish the wrongdoing, right? And like Gryla's character is like embodying that idea of, yo, let's just punish the bad people. So
hmm.
instead of having the naughty list, let's just get rid of everybody that's on the naughty list, and then everything will be right, right? And even that is kind of an interesting way of going about it, because Gryla is wrong because of how she's going about it, but
Hmm.
her intention is to
Yeah.
make the world a better place, right? Same as Nick's is, but it's a little bit different.
And that's the thing too. Now that I've seen develop in our present lives is the creation of the anti-hero and the
Yeah.
anti-villain, where they're not a clear cut black and white, like the bad guys wear black and the good guys wear white. It's more like, hey, there are certain decisions that I'm in alignment with, and then there's certain decisions that I'm not in alignment with.
Yeah.
Um, in case with Krampus looks like a demonic spirit.
Mhm.
And there was an article this morning. I was doing a little bit of research out in San Antonio, mind you. The reporter was Zariah Oates, and she was reporting that the Krampus parade expected to kick off today, excuse me, on the 5th of December at 6:30 in the King William neighborhood is under debate because Krampus is a half demonic entity
Mhm.
that resembles Satan.
Mhm.
Um, and they don't want to glorify that. But yet, the origins of Krampus was this was a person, entity, deity, demigod, whatever you want to call it, mythological being that went around and actually punishing the bad children.
Yeah.
And you would kidnap them, leave coal, do things that admonish them for their bad acts throughout the year. So this reward and punishment system, it kind of harkens back long before this movie was even a thought, yet borrows elements and modernizes them, like
Yeah.
Grayla.
Yeah.
Grayla is an ogre who carried a sack and kidnapped kids,
Mhm.
and has origins from Iceland. I had to look her up because I'm like, all right, I know Krampus. There's been a couple of movies just on him. Everyone knows Santa Claus, but who is this Grayla
Yeah.
figure? And then come to find out, they put this modernized twist on it that she was in a relationship with Krampus because their beliefs were in alignment with one another.
Yeah.
That brought some like, I
Yeah.
know that's not for the
Yeah,
kids.
they thought about that one. They did. So wait, so I got a question though. So you remember in Collateral when
Yeah.
the like the big boss kind of person, it breaks down the story
Mm,
of Black Peter, right? Which
yeah.
sounds a little racist when you just hear it. I said it like that. But he's
No.
talking about like Black Peter who works with
Hmm.
Santa Claus and
Yeah.
takes the list of all the naughty kids, and that's
Hmm.
the kids who gets punished. So is Black Peter like Krampus, like
Yeah.
when he grows up? Like what's the I'm asking
Yeah.
you, like you created these mythology,
Yeah.
right? This is
Well, based
mythology.
upon what I've read about, Black Peter and Krampus were kind of like parallels in different countries.
Ah,
So in a
okay.
lot of Slavic regions, you have Krampus. In Russia, which kind of borderlines on that Slavic tradition, whatever, you have Black Peter. Um, Catholics, they're not necessarily with the whole Krampus thing because again of the parallels to the demonic
Makes sense.
entity,
Right.
and so they just went with the whole, yeah, there is a punishment for those individuals who worked at being bad. Like this was their career. They were criminals or they were just, unruly.
Got it.
Um,
Got it. And
so,
they gotta get that work then.
yeah, basically.
Got it.
And I think, but I think the movie does a good job of incorporating all these different things.
Yeah, it
I
does.
found it real interesting that she didn't have some like getaway hideout. It was
Yeah.
underneath Santa's workshop.
Yeah, they all live in the same place, right? And you start to wonder, like, Nick has to know that she's down there, right?
Come on, yeah,
Like the whole movie. What's interesting is like even when he gets kidnapped, Nick never seems worried.
not at all.
He never seems like anything is happening that's not according to a plan. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So he's just like he's along for the ride, but he's also the conductor.
Yeah, and I think it's the foreshadowing of it in the beginning too, because he tells them it's not about good or anything like that. It's about the choices and making the decisions that
Yeah,
on a day-to-day basis that make you who you are. It's not anything grandiose or anything like that.
yeah.
It's always the mundane and the minute.
Yeah. And I think that's the part that I always like about the Christmas movie is that in the
Mm,
end, it's always about you being your best, right?
yeah.
You being your best for you. And then when you're your best for you, you end up being your best for your family. And then, there's something good that happens, right? And, like, everything can't
It's
be.
getting all warm and fuzzy
Yeah,
inside, CJ.
everything can't be, violence and death and destruction. Sometimes you gotta have some cheer, right? And it's like I said in the beginning, it's December. I'm trying to push positivity,
31 days.
for 31 days. So that's where I am, man. Anything else on the culture part before we jump into the cake to give me a chance to talk about things that I liked?
Well, I just want to throw in these few things real quick because I'm always big on the significance of names.
Hmm.
So, Jake's name obviously is his last name is O'Malley.
Hmm.
O'Malley is derived from it's an angelicized version from the Gaelic, meaning Irish, and it means prince or champion or poet. So I think that's
Interesting.
very
Yeah,
yeah.
that
So I think
works.
that part is in line and it works. Um, John, obviously, biblical name meaning God is gracious.
Hmm.
So, that falls in alignment. Um, Here's another name, though, that I think most people were maybe a little curious about, and that's Caleb. And that's Scottish as well. So you see the roots and
Yeah.
all this in the European uh, heritage and celebrations. And Caleb means dove. And doves are synonymous with peace and olive branches and such.
And
Um,
Christ and everything. Yep. Yeah.
so that ties in. And then, obviously, you have Jack, which is also a nickname for John.
Mm,
So I think those things help to bring about a further clarity as far as these individuals' intentions,
yeah.
the significance of their name,
Yeah.
and just their traits that they imbue.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad you brought back that etymology of the words and the names. The Calum name, it's almost like you can hear it. I hear things one way, but then when I go and read them, I read them differently. So I was like, oh, I wonder what that name significance was. So
Mhm.
yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks
yeah,
for breaking that down, man. All right,
no doubt.
so jumping into the cake, I got a couple things that I liked about this movie. First of all, and I talked about a little bit with the CGI. I like the polar bear Garcia. Like I like
Yeah.
that his name is Garcia. Number one. I just like is that his first name, his last name? Like is that a family name? Like what happened? Like how did the polar bear get to be Garcia? I don't
And
know.
that's not your typical Coca-Cola
It's
bear
not. No,
then.
it's a violent bear, man. And I like that. Thank you for putting that in there. So yes, I like Garcia the bear. I like that, just the character in general. I like
Yeah.
the intimidation factor. Like The
Mhm.
Rock is already intimidating enough, but then when you have Garcia intimidating people too, I really like that. I dug that.
Yeah.
So that was a good one. The thing that they use to freeze people, they call it the acquiescer. I like
Hmm.
that. It reminds me of like the Men in Black thing that they used to do to wipe people's brains, like that thing.
Yeah.
But it was like a cool, like kind of little technique of it, and I like that you can use it to put people to sleep and wake people up. It just seems like something that Santa Claus and all of his mythical soldiers would actually have. So I
Mm.
like that as a thing. I like the Christmas drop off scene at the end where you get to see
Mm.
Nick do his thing and see like how he shrinks down into the chimneys and
Yeah.
I like that. That was cool because I was like, how's this big dude, with these diesel Mr. Will vibe? How's he gonna get down these chimneys? And that's how I found this. I like that. And I talked a little bit about like JK as Santa Claus, but not like as a cheery person, but just as a being of positive purpose. So
Mm.
I like those things, and that's my cake. What you got for
I'd
us?
like you to elaborate that for the listeners too and the viewers, man, as far as Santa Claus being the agent
Oh,
of
Agent of Possible.
purpose.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think like it's interesting. Like you mentioned it before about the idea of him saying like it's not so much about the good or evil part; it's about what you do for the kids and the choices that you make. I thought like philosophically having Santa Claus think of what he does as his purpose
Mm.
and kind of like disconnect that from the idea of like good or bad or whether or not like what I'm doing is making the world a better place. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And he believes that when he does it, it does have this positive experience, which you see in the end when, the Rock is looking at Chris Evans' character and he sees him as a little boy, right? Because he
Mm.
sees like the impact of like what this experience means for us as adults and how it brings us back to that childhood innocence. And I like that Nick is like he doesn't view himself like as a like I'm a champion or I'm a hero. He's like this is my job and I do it and I don't give up on the job no matter what because this is my
Mm.
purpose. And I like that portrayal of like the idea of Santa Claus because I think it makes it adult, whatever that means, but then it also helps me to relate to it a little bit better.
That when you mention that, it automatically made me think of last week's episode: strength and honor, commitment to family,
Yep,
one's duty.
he's got it.
Um,
Throw him in the
yeah,
arena.
yeah,
Put him in the
yeah,
arena.
and
Let him
he's
fight.
built for it.
Let him fight Denzel, man.
Yeah, well, he's built for it. He's built for it. You know, and I definitely want to give you kudos for that too, because throughout the journey of like our commentary on these movies, CJ really brightens up during this time of year. Like I
I do.
remember
It's my
last year when
yeah.
he's talking about, you know, the different movies we were engaged in, and talking about, you know, what it means to be around this time of year and listening to all of the joyous and melodious vibes that were put out there. So kudos to CJ, man. Like underneath that taciturn and very astute demeanor, there's a guy whose heart is this big, man, this
Yeah, I
big.
appreciate that. That
Yeah.
somewhat backhanded compliment. I appreciate that. I know taciturn is gonna make people have to look it up before they figure out if that was an insult or a compliment. So thank you. what's your what's your cake, sir?
Oh man. I'm definitely like CJ. I definitely like the portrayal of Santa Claus, but for a different reason. Typically, you see this fat, jolly,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
reminds me of something that Bill Burr said about, you can be fat and happy, but you can't be fat and miserable.
Yes.
Something about that just stuck with me. Like, um, you know, if you're overweight, you know, it's definitely an issue. I'm not trying to bemoan or demean or make light of it. So that's a totally separate vibe here. I'm just talking about the stereotypical image that society has of the person who's you know, happy and joyous and they're rotund.
Hmm.
Something about that always stuck with me, as far as like, is this really what it's about? Are people who overeat happy,
Hmm.
you know, when they're doing this, or is it a coping mechanism?
Hmm.
But the portrayal of Santa Claus always made it seem like it was acceptable. He
Yeah.
was jolly, and he had a bowl full of jelly. That's
Hmm.
part of the narrative on the night before Christmas.
Yeah.
Now you see a very fit and very masculine and muscular individual who's like, yeah, I may look older because of the gray in my beard. However, nah, I get busy.
Yeah.
So I definitely like seeing JK in that role,
Yeah.
because you know, he's very active. I always think of him as what's his name? The head of the Bugle.
Oh, J. Jonah
Is
Jameson in the
Jameson.
Spider-Man
Yeah,
movies. Yeah.
yeah. So that always sticks with me. So that comparison contrast.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you know, there's this overall essence of family
Mm.
and love and kindness being spread throughout. I mean, like, you have two estranged brothers in Krampus and Saint Nick, and then they're able to reconcile and come together for a common cause. I love the fact that it's a little predictable, yeah, and sappy. And I would have liked if excuse me, I was about to say Ryan Reynolds, if Chris Evans' character, Jack didn't have a child, and that he was like the proverbial loner, and maybe he reconciled with the brother. But I like the fact that, you know, there is that heartwarming moment where, you know, a father and son can reconcile their differences and come together and
Hmm.
and be better. And he has the nice little soliloquy where it actually is that him divulging that, yeah, I've done bad things
Yeah.
and I regret them and I
Hmm.
want to make amends, and it may not be perfect, but I won't stop trying.
Yeah.
And I think that's another major tenet in this movie, is trying. So I love the fact of trying. I like Lucy Liu. I think that she's a great actress. And when she's on the scene, she commands your attention. I even like The Rock. And we'll get to this in one of CJ's questions later, but I don't know. I was a little disappointed that he didn't give more of a Rock effort, but when he was in certain scenes by himself, he still had that stage presence. I like the cinematography and the CGI. I like the mythology and the fantasy
Yeah. That was a good
aspect.
point. That was a good
That was
aspect. Yeah.
really appealing. And then I like the fact, last but not least, the possibility of a sequel. It leaves it a little bit open ended.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, man, like it's interesting about the part like about Santa Claus being fit is like they do make a point of saying that he burns like 10,000
Mm-hmm.
calories that
Yeah, the
night.
whole
So he's
cookie
got to
scene,
store up on all the, all the
carbs.
carbs to do it. Like so that there's
Yeah.
definitely like that
Yeah.
health conscious Santa Claus vibe thing that they
Mm-hmm.
do. Yo, and JK's had those arms since Whiplash. You remember the
Yeah.
joint? Like, yeah, he's back in that
No, he
joint.
gets busy,
Yeah,
man.
he's definitely all arms. I don't know if he does legs, but he definitely does the
Man.
arms. But yeah, so that's good stuff there. So I'm gonna jump into the things that I did not like that much. You know,
and why
also known as the hate.
and why do I envision Senator Palpatine's face going below your name
No, it's not
and
like that.
lightning?
Nah, man. Look, I'm pushing positivity even through the hatred, man. So I got three things, man. First, like you talked about it a little bit with the story with Chris Evans and his son. You know, I understand why it's there. You got to have the kid. It's not a kids
Of
movie. You don't have the
course.
kids. It just didn't really move me. Like
Mm,
I've seen Christmas time movies have kids in them, and it works better.
mm.
This was kind of like more like an adult movie, and the kid happened to be there.
Uh,
I just didn't really dig it that much. But if you do,
uh,
that's great. You talked about The Rock too, man. The Rock. So, all right. So The Rock to me is like he does, and it's kind of interesting because like The Rock is like really good as like the straight man kind of character, right?
mhm,
And I think like when he does that, to me, he almost needs like somebody who's really, really, really funny to kind of play off him in a way that works for that. And I think Chris Evans did a really good job, so I liked it, but it felt like The Rock was taking it a little bit too seriously, if that makes
mhm,
sense.
mm.
Like,
Yep.
and it's like it kind of dampened it a little bit for me. And I wish that he would have been a little bit more kind of like knowing that this was crazy and kind of in on it a little bit more. Like he kind of like he felt like he was trying to play the the what is it K character
Yeah.
in Men in
Yeah.
Black. Like he was trying to play that guy, and I wanted him to be more like, yeah, I know that this is crazy. I just turned this car into a real car, you know. And I just turned these rock'em sock'em robots into real things, you know. But I just whatever. Maybe that's just how it was shot. So I didn't dig that much. And then last but not least, you mentioned Lucy Liu. I liked her in this. I wish I'd seen a little bit more from her. Like she could have been
Okay.
in it a little bit more. I would have liked that because she's also another actress that I like to see in things, and I feel like she's got a lot of range of stuff that she could do.
Yep.
And the movie just didn't really figure out exactly how to use it. So that was my not that much liked stuff.
CJ's giving it the old
Yeah.
college try,
Yo, the
folks.
things I did not like as much, man. What you got for the hate, also known as the things you did not like as much?
I think areas of improvement will be my title,
Okay.
and I'm running with the seriousness of Caleb Drift. I think
Yeah.
I get the reason for him being jaded
Hmm.
and perhaps with battle weary. But yet underneath it all, I think there are still embers that need to be stoked, and that comes to fruition at the end of the movie of hopeful turning into youthful exuberance.
Hmm.
And he's where he's able to see, like CJ mentioned, Jack, as a child again, and that wonderment that is in his eyes. Um, I think that the Chris Evans character would have been best portrayed by Ryan Reynolds, but
Interesting take. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, but I don't
I could see
think
that.
that
Yeah, I could see that.
him
No,
and the yeah, but I don't think him and The Rock are gonna be in too many movies anytime soon.
because they
All
did
right.
Red Note
Mm-hmm.
on Netflix together. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just think that till they work that out, I don't think that that's gonna happen. Matter of fact, there should have been a sequel to Red Note
Yeah.
already, but that hasn't happened. And I actually thought that this movie was going to appear on Netflix at one point in time. It wasn't gonna.
It could have
So
been. It
like,
would have been a good Netflix film. It would have been a good
yeah.
one there. Yeah.
And then last but not least, tying in with that, this movie took too long to get out into the public, and the timing of where it was placed. It wasn't even, how everyone is in a rush for Christmas to get here, that they'll
Yes.
even put up Christmas trees in the middle of November and
Especially
everything
this
like
year, it
that.
seemed like people were really pushing X Christmas.
Yeah. Well, in this case, this movie came out before the movie we just reviewed in last episode. So
That's
think
right,
about that.
because this came out in like end of like early November, right?
Early
That's
November.
right. Yeah. See, I didn't see it until this weekend, so I didn't realize. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has been out for a while. Yeah.
So that's the crazy thing for me, where, all right, you got this this blockbuster movie that you obviously are pushing for a particular reason, and to usually it's because it's either a theme that's going on, in this case Christmas, and or you have a major star, The
Yeah.
Rock. So that kind of like threw me off, but
But
it
overall,
is what
yeah,
it is.
yeah, no, that's a good point, man. That's yeah, I'd forgotten how early this actually came out because it's you're
Yeah.
right, but it's been out there for a while, man, and it
Mm.
seems like it's doing pretty good. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
they
No.
haven't taken it out of theaters
No.
in 3 weeks, so
No, this movie's going to do its numbers,
yeah,
especially since, this is a type of film that caters to a wide array of individuals,
yes, yeah,
So, yeah, they're not taking this out no time soon.
yeah. Dig that, dig that. All right, so we got a couple questions. I got a couple questions. I'm gonna jump into it, and I guys got some too.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot for this one, but I got two for you. The
Shoot.
first one, this is kind of like a meta question, but why do we, and I'm not saying like you and me, but just like
Oh, yeah,
as in
yeah.
general, like why do we want children to believe in Santa Claus?
I think it really stems from innocence and what that actually brings along with it, all of the synonyms that go along with innocence. When you think of innocence, you think of fair play, goodness,
Mm,
healthy, smart, loving, caring. All of these things seem to be synonymous with that word. And children are the epitome and the symbol for that. They're the torchbearers for that. Simultaneously, Christmas is supposed to bring about Yuletide joy and happiness and
yeah,
the gift giving and being, very benevolent. What's better than someone giving you a gift?
how about that?
We
Yeah,
always
that's a good
we
point.
always talk about like the joy it brings to do for others,
Hmm.
and seeing the joy on the
Yeah,
other person's face. Matter of fact, CJ was the one who gave me the microphone, and it was like so like a bond sharing moment. So kudos to him again for helping with the platform.
yeah.
So you would know better than anyone, man.
Yeah, why? I don't know, man. Because I don't think I think I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I was like 7 or something. Yeah,
Really?
because I lived in an apartment. I was like, yeah, how's he gonna get in here? And once I figured that,
Magic, man.
yeah, right, right. Well, now if this movie came out, it would have been there. But I like what you're saying. I like that point about just trying to keep. I think we all know that childhood is so fleeting.
Yes.
And if you're an adult or if you're a parent, you realize how fast it goes and how much you wish you could have appreciated more. And if you have
Yeah.
children, you try your best to keep your children appreciating it more. And Santa
Mm.
Claus and Christmas is like one of those things that allows you to keep kids in that little bubble of the surreal world of like everything working out, before Gladiator happens, before you get to the real world.
Where your son is chased from his home.
Right. That joint. Right. All right. So let's go. So second question, man. This deals with The Rock, man, who we talked a little bit about.
Yeah.
All right. So Rock has been in a lot of different movies, man. And I was wondering what have you thought was The Rock's best role so far?
Yeah. So this really has me up in arms between two characters.
Okay.
Um, and for totally different reasons. They are opposites of one another. They are opposed as opposed can get.
Okay.
So the first movie that I'll reference is Faster. That came out in 2010.
Hmm.
He's I don't know if anyone's seen it or whatever have you. He's a convict who gets out of jail. His brother was killed before him. They were on a money heist. He was the driver man. He was the wheel man, and he ends up getting shot by these corrupt cops.
Hmm.
Come to find out, the corrupt cops, Billy Bob Thornton and a bunch of other dudes, they were the ones who did it, and that's the reason why when he gets out of jail, he goes on this revenge spree.
Hmm.
Um, doesn't have too many speaking lines in it, but it's very character driven based upon his actions and the nonverbal cues, his eyes, the frowns in his brow, and things like that. Like he really commands your attention. Like it was like, wow, this ain't The Rock from like talking stuff on WWE or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Like this is a guy who's all about that business.
Yeah. And
At the time,
2010, that's early in the career too.
yeah,
Yeah.
at the time is WWF, and this is the bald Rock. This ain't the Rock with the suave Jerry curl joint.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
miss that dude too. But yeah, it was like, wow, okay, this
Okay.
guy's about business. And then the other one is I don't know if cats are familiar with the TV show Ballers that came out on
Oh
HBO.
yes. Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my dude
Yeah.
Spencer. Yeah, Spencer Strasmore.
Yes.
Spencer Strasmore. Because he's in that he has a lot of redeeming qualities.
Hmm.
He can say like, "Yo, you don't have a lifetime to make the mistakes I made. Learn from
Yeah,
mine. Capitalize on that." He's appealing. He's suave. He's debonair. He is about his business. He's very astute. He's
yeah,
very a common man. Like everyone can relate to him. There's a gravitas to him.
yeah,
And he's more of like the big brother when you need him to be, the uncle,
yeah.
like he just wears many hats in that show.
Yeah, I like that show, man. I forgot
Mm-hmm.
about that. Yeah, I was thinking like just of movies, but yeah, you're right. That was one of the roles.
Uh,
And I like that show. I like that they built his character up over
mm-hmm.
time. Like
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily buy him like becoming the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs
No, no,
by the
no,
last
no.
season, but I like how they like showed him like trying to figure out like what is his post football life going to be, and like
Mm-hmm. Yep.
like and like of course like having the real athletes be in the show sometimes.
Yeah.
It
Always
was
love
like
that.
it was like Black Entourage.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's what it was. Matter of
That's what it
fact,
was.
wasn't your boy John David
Yeah, yeah.
Washington
John
in that
David
joint?
Washington was in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the wide receiver who
Yep.
was
Yep.
kind of like in that proto multiple concussions playing Cincinnati Antonio
Yeah.
Brown vibe. Like he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good show, man. It was a good picks. All right.
He also reminds me of if Willie Beeman was a wide receiver and
Yes.
Rod Tidwell
Yeah.
type of joint. You know what I mean? Vibe going on
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah. He's do. Yeah. Yeah. We have to do something with him in it because he's got a couple movies that I really have dug over the
Yeah.
years, man. But all right, man.
Dig it.
What you got questions wise?
Oh man. So I hate to say this, but has the world become a little bit too cynical?
Yes.
Like, do people still believe in Christmas? I
Yes.
finished the joint.
No. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. I mean, I think part of it is, and this is it's not necessarily the fault of like social media, but what social media has done is it's made it so you can see everything, everywhere, everyone, all the
Mm,
time. Part of like the idea of gift giving is the mystery of somebody not knowing they're going to get it, not knowing where it's coming from, not knowing where you hit it in the house. Now everything is so easy to find out all the time. We live in such
wow.
a easily tracked society that it's like
Mm,
everything just boils down to what store you went to and how much you paid for it.
wow.
It's
Yeah.
not it's not like that same mystery to it. Like even for kids, like kids now, like I remember growing up, like, you write a list, like I want these
Yeah.
things, right? You
Yeah.
give it to an adult and they get it for you. Now it's like you go to the store, you look at it, you point it out, it's this thing. You look on Amazon, you point it out, it's this thing. It's different. You know what I mean? So I think like it if wonderment is what we're searching for in the whole Christmas gift giving experience, then the cynicism comes from like almost always kind of knowing where everything comes from and how it got there. It's
Mm,
like seeing the hot dog get made. You still
mm,
eat it, but you might eat it, but
mm.
but it can't probably doesn't taste as good when you see like, oh, how that
Yeah.
kind of happened. So yeah, no. Bottom line is no. The cynicism is on full
Wow.
is on full power.
I did not, I agree with you, but I did not think of it in those terms. That is brilliant on your part, man.
Thank you.
I like that. I
Thank you for the
really like
props.
that.
I
How
appreciate it. I want to believe so. I want to believe that. I could see that for them. They probably maybe in the sequel, if there is a sequel, they'll
Mm-hmm.
get that. They'll get that on. But yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Why are Jack and Olivia not together?
I don't know, man. I mean, like, first of all, when Olivia came on, no, I'm not gonna say that. All right, I'm trying to keep it positive. Trying to keep it positive.
Testing,
Yeah, try.
testing.
Yeah, thank you for trying. Thank you for putting me in front of my boundary like that. No, I mean, like, there's just not like, okay, if the wolf or Jack is like the character that he portrays
Mm-hmm.
himself, people like that can't stay married. They can't be like, if you're
Yeah.
like a person who's okay with like stealing from people and robbing
Mm,
people and lying to people and doing all that, you're not going to make a good husband. It's just not going to work. You're not going to. That's not going to work out in marriage. So I could see the real question is like, how did he even get married in the first place when he was like that?
mm.
Like, I could see why he's not married, but how do you convince somebody long enough that they should want to marry him? So that's what I got.
You know what? They would call that moral flexibility. And if I remember correctly, I think it was something along the lines of we weren't married, we were just hooking up, and then, she got pregnant and she eventually married someone else. I think he
That's
tells
what they
that
said.
speech
That's what
when
happened.
he's in the yeah, you know what? Yeah, when he's in the dungeon with Caleb, he explains to him
Oh,
like, yeah, it's not what you think. She and I hooked up, and he doesn't say hooked up, but he said
yeah,
we got
because
together.
you said.
Kids are not, yeah. And then he says she eventually married a guy who's a better dad,
Mm,
and that's what my son needs. He doesn't need me in the mix.
got it.
But I was more curious as to like, well, how did they get together in the first place?
Yeah, it's
You
not.
know,
Yeah, that well, if he's saying like, essentially, I met her at the club, and then something happened,
and that's what I'm
and
wondering.
I
Did
can
they?
get that. Yeah, maybe the light, strobe lights happens happens to people, man.
Stroke makes you think of that Black Sheep song.
Yo, it
That
happens,
date by
man. It happens.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, okay. Well, hey, let's go with this one. If Santa's that powerful, how did Gryla's sons take him captive?
So this is the thing, man. So I think that actually Nick is along for the ride the whole time, man. I
Mm.
think that Nick is like, like at any point he's probably like, I could get out of this if I want to, but let me see where this goes. Like
Let me
he's
see.
probably like, this is probably the most exciting thing that's happened to him in about 100 years.
Let's see where this goes.
He's probably like, whatever. Like I wanted Gryla to be something different than like maybe like, like an ex-girlfriend that was mad or something, something like
That
personal
would have
like
been
that.
interesting,
That would have
though,
been an
man.
interesting thing, right? Because then,
Yeah.
like Mrs. Claus could have been like, I hate that,
Ooh,
I hate that,
yeah, she get her head.
I hate that young thing, like that kind of. It would have been funny, I would have dug that. But nah, bottom line is they
Oh.
can't really mess with Nick. But Nick is just chilling anyway, man. He would. I bet you, if it was like a couple minutes before Christmas, he would have got himself out of that little globe and got.
Yeah.
He would have figured
He's like,
out and like, all right, playtime's
enough messing
over.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time to get back to business now.
I like that, man. And shout out to the scene with the headless horseman. I
Yes.
really like
Yeah.
that
Good.
joint.
Yeah.
Like
Good little note. Yeah.
I'd like to see him like maybe in a standalone scene or something. Like that would have been dope. Um, let me see. Oh, okay. Here we go. If you had Callum's gauntlet, what would you use it on?
Yeah. I would be out there. This is what I would do. I would go to a Lego store.
Mm.
I would have my daughter build me like one of those incredible Lego houses,
Ooh,
and I
yeah,
would
yeah.
zap that joint, and I would live in it.
Mm.
And then that's what
Yeah.
I would do that. Like you could fix your whole life up by just going to a
Mm.
Lego store and building that. So
Ooh.
imagine like, like, oh, I want to have a Millennium Falcon. Zoop, do that. Now you got it. You know what I'm saying? I want an Iron Man costume. Zoop, got it. You get in the joint and then you do it, man. So that's what I would do, man. It would be, yeah, it wouldn't be good for everybody.
I could picture that too. Just flying around an Iron Man joint,
There it
Mark
is.
7.
Look, because whatever it is, it turns into the real version of that thing,
Yeah.
right? You
That
just
would
need the
be
creativity to put it together. That's it. Go to a Lego
and
store
that's
and do the
why
whole thing.
and you just said it. Man, again, that's brilliant. You just said it. The reason why we look to kids, creativity, spontaneity, imagination.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing with the Christmas spirit.
yeah. And
Man, that's brilliant on your part, man.
that's what we lose over time, man.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
of being jaded,
yeah.
being pragmatic,
Having to go
the
to a
pessimism.
job, having to fight traffic, pay
Woo.
taxes,
Yeah, man.
go to the doctor.
Yeah, it's
all,
enough to suck the spirit out of you.
all the stuff that makes you cynical, man. That's what
Hmm.
does it to you.
Yeah. But last but not least, what's your favorite holiday?
So I thank you. So look, I don't have like a favorite holiday per se,
Hmm.
but I do have like a favorite time of the year. And like we've
Okay.
said, this is my favorite time of the year
Yeah.
because I just feel like, this time of year from like Thanksgiving to like New Year's, people just try to do better, right? And even me, like I started at the beginning, I'm gonna try to push positivity for 31
Hmm.
days, right?
Hmm.
I just think that like people are just nicer, they're friendlier, they're thinking more about giving, they're thinking more about giving to others. Every year, this time of year, you see organizations and individuals volunteer to feed other people or to give coats to other
Mm.
people. The reality is that we should be doing that all year round, but
All
for
year
some
round.
reason, we put more emphasis on doing it now. but because we do, I think it just raises the vibration of humanity, and I love that and I dig that. So this is my favorite time of the year.
Well, I can appreciate that, man. And you again, I maybe you're doing it intentionally. Who knows? Either way, it works. Fourth quarter for businesses is this period. This is the last month of the year out of the
Mhm.
12 months. Um, and it's that finality where individuals think, all right, I may have had some hiccups in the beginning of whatever period, but if I come on strong at the end of the year, it
I
can
can
carry
do it.
over
Yeah.
into the new year.
Hmm.
And then, let me like, I'm under the gun. A lot of people do their best work under pressure.
Yeah.
And you're only as good as your most recent thing that you've done or whatever have you. So that being this time of year, especially around this particular season,
Yeah.
when you're coming off of Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden, you have Christmas,
Yeah.
Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and then wrapped up with New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it forces you, it's colder outside, depending on most places where
Mm,
you live. It forces you to be inside more. It
yeah.
forces you to be around your family more. It forces you to like do more
Good
things
or bad.
together. Yeah, good or right, good or true, good or bad. But it's like it just there's a calming out that happens,
Mm.
So yeah,
No, that's dope on your part, man. Thank you, sir. I
yeah,
appreciate
there it
that.
is. Yo, what's your favorite holiday? Since you that's that question.
Wow. You know what, man? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a holiday because the word is holy day,
Hmm.
and I am not a religious person. So I'll say season. Um, and I love Christmas. I didn't always because I'm
Christmas
not in
time. We love like Christmas
yeah.
time. Yeah.
I didn't like the whole commercialism and the mandatory feeling that you gotta get a gift for somebody, but I like candy canes and
Hmm.
gingerbread, and I like the decorations and
Yeah.
just people, even the festiveness of people wearing green and red, and
Hmm.
the stockings, especially since like they got Raider stockings, so I'll grab a Raider stocking. Like, yeah, dude, man,
Yeah.
it brought out a lot in me, but that's because I had kids. So
Yeah.
kudos to my children.
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like you cannot be a religious person, and yet it's so much ritual happening
Mm.
around this time of year.
Yeah.
It's a lot of rituals.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a funny thing, man. But anyways, all right, that would be a whole different story. That'd be a whole
Yes,
different
sir.
show. But all
Different
right.
show.
So yeah, let's get into the popcorn, man. I'll go first with this. So I'm gonna give this 3.5. I thought it was like for what it is, it's good. It was a fun movie to watch. So yeah, 3.5 for me.
Yeah, we're congruent, man. I'm with 3.5 too. Nice, and again, nice date movie. Taps into the family spirit, festive. For those individuals who like quote unquote eye candy, you got the Rock in his muscles, and you got the charisma of Chris Evans.
Yep.
You got the beauty of Lucy Liu. Yeah, man, this hits a lot of different buttons. There's some jokes, a little bit of nostalgia. Yeah, man, you can't go wrong with this movie.
There it is. There it is, man. All right. So, Mr. Will, hit us with this conclusion, man.
Yes, sir.
And, we wrap this up.
Yeah. Packed with jaw dropping stunts and high tech gadgets, Red One delivers comedic Mission Impossible vibes, providing early holiday cheer as the duo of Caleb Drift and Jack O'Malley race against time. Their journey unfolds with hilarity and heart, and ensuring audiences members are kept on the edge of their seats. The film dives into the fantastical logistics of Santa's overnight global delivery system,
Hmm.
as well as satisfying the curiosity of every child at heart. The magical snow globe, brimming with secrets, becomes a pivotal piece in this holiday puzzle. As the elf operative and his partner dash from one breathtaking action scene to another, viewers are taken on a roller coaster ride filled with unexpected twists. Red One is a festive cinematic treat that combines the joys of an action packed narrative with the warmth and whimsy of the holiday season.
There it is. There it is, man. Yep. Okay, cool, man. So that's Red One. Once again, well, first I'm going to say next week,
Yep.
we are going to do another Christmas time movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be doing Gremlins.
Woo!
So we're going to do the first
That's
Gremlins,
gonna be
man.
fun,
Yeah,
man.
that's going to be fun, which took place during the holidays, during the Christmas holidays. So that'll be a good one. Please come back and check that out. Once again, the Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and share the YouTube channel. And we will see you next week. Peace.